Hello, everybody, and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43, and tonight we are taking our very first look at the new legendary tier Spanish cruiser Castilla. So, with that being said, let's look at our commander. We're running Pascual Cervera Topete. 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 I apologize. We have Arthas the Cold on there, and we have Nikolai Kuznetsov. We are running Burn It Down XXL. Forewarned command. You could swap this out. You don't necessarily need this. It's probably advisable to swap this out because with this perk, you just stay spotted forever after you fire your guns. It has gotten me in trouble more often than not, and I forgot why it's even there. So yeah. I know it gives you a 10% reload buff while you're spotted, but good God. So you might want to run Igniter or even full speed ahead to help you get out on the flanks. Plus it increases your rudder shift. So either of these perks are okay. Just be warned, be forewarned that if you use this perk, you will regret it at some point because you will just stay spotted constantly. On second thought, obviously, so shell switching time, if all main battery shells are loaded or guns are loaded, minus 55%, plus an extra 5% on our reload as well, which comes in handy. So I think you can see the theme here. I'm trying to buff the reload as much as I can on this. Just keep in mind that the reload that you're buffing is the actual full reload and not the enter magazine reload or whatever you want to call it, the ready rack. You're not buffing that. I don't think you can buff the ready rack other than adding an extra one. But anyway, fixated for a little bit better dispersion and grouping. These things are pretty accurate. So I don't know if this is necessary, but it can't hurt. And you want every shell to land if you can. And then, of course, we are running Honorable Sacrifice. This is how we get an extra ready rack shell. So you get to fire 3 times instead of twice. It does add to your reload overall. You can choose whether or not you think that's worth it. Personally, I think it's absolutely worth it. The damage potential out of the third shot is usually the difference between killing something and leaving it alive. So, highly recommend that you take this perk, at least in my opinion. Your mileage may vary. But let's look at our overall build. We are running Aiming Systems Mod 1. We're running Steering Gears Mod 2. Concealment System Mod, and we are running the Epic Main Battery Mod 3. Again, you upgrade this by pressing X on Xbox. I'm assuming Square on PlayStation. And 500 steel gets you to the Epic version, which gets you for every 30,000 damage you do, a faster reload. Okay, does slow down your traverse speed, which does hurt a little bit, but again, it's manageable. Okay, loadout. So, as you can see, we do have torpedoes. They're 8 kilometers. So, basically defensive torps. Or ambush torps if you get a chance. We do have 2 heels. And we have a 5-kilometer sonar as well, which is pretty nice. And then, of course, we're running the catapult. Or we have a catapult fighter, too, which allows us to use the Arthas perk. We are running Epic Battle Booster, so keep that in mind. I'll go ahead and take this off so that you guys can see the stats, but just know that during the match, I am running the Epic Battle Booster. We're running the Hector flag because, again, looks like a Spartan helmet, and the assimilated camo, so aka the Borg camo, and we made it permanent. Just because the standard camo for this ship is pretty bleh. It's kind of bland. So let's get into the specs. So armor, hit points. You got 53,760 hit points, which is deceptively good for a cruiser. It's actually higher than this, but we take a little bit of a hit to our hit points for the one perk. And then also, this thing is decently tanky, especially in a kiting position. And you might want to actually run propulsion mod in this thing. I run steering gears because I tend to be crazy. But you can run propulsion mod in this thing, and it probably be a little bit more effective. Is A, it allows you to get that early start to getting out onto the flank, but B, it also allows you to get into a kiting position, stop, fire your guns, and then take off and dodge more shells that way. But yeah, we do have a 40% fire chance or fire resistance. Sorry, and torque reduction is 19% on this thing. Main batteries, you got 254 millimeter 60 caliber guns. You get 9 of them. reaching out to 16.7 kilometers with this build. Again, it goes up to 17.2 if you run the Epic Battle Booster, but that's why I run the Epic Battle Booster, is specifically for that, so keep that in mind. Reload time of the main guns for after you've fired all three shots out of the ready rack is 28.6, so it's battleship-esque, but again, that is for 3 shots, 3 salvos, so it's pretty good. Ready rack reload time is 2.5 seconds. So if you're fully loaded, you pull the trigger, 2.5 seconds later you can pull the trigger, 2.5 seconds later you can pull the trigger. Okay, it's just that quick. And of course, because of our build, we have 3 instead of 2 in the ready rack. Main battery turret traverse, again, not great, but it's manageable. 30.3 seconds for a cruiser. Not the greatest, but again, these are big cruiser guns, so you got to keep that in mind. These are what would be 9 or 10 inch guns. So yeah, they're pretty large. Shell grouping is fantastic, 2.26. I don't know where that stands in terms of cruisers, but it feels really good. It feels really easy to hit targets with this thing. The only downside is they can, at longer ranges, it can be a little bit awkward, which is why I say the third third salvo comes in handy, because you usually only need 2 salvos to dev strike most cruisers, but that first shot is usually wasted because you just forget how far you have to aim. But yeah, anyway. Whoops. I hate that. I hate that you have to press A to get on these. HE shell maximum damage 3600 with a 18% chance to set fires and 42 millimeters of armor penetration, so they pin a lot. The HE does hurt on this thing, but most of the time I'm firing AP out of this thing. You will see me oopsie in this match where I end up firing HE, but I don't know how I managed to do it. AP shell maximum damage 6300, and again, the standard penetration angles 45/60s. Fuse timer 0.033, and a fuse arming threshold of 42 meters. So again, these won't arm on most destroyers, but they will arm on pretty much every cruiser. So keep that in mind. Secondaries. You have 128 millimeter 61 caliber KM40 secondaries. You get 16 of those, reaching out to 5.8 kilometers, reloading in 4 seconds. They have HE shells firing out 1,500 damage or maximum HE shell damage, and they have a 7% chance to set fires, and they pin 21 mil. So secondary is not really pinning a whole lot, but they come in handy a little bit. They can at least set fires. Torpedo launchers. This is where you get 2 quintuple launchers. You get 1 on either side of the ship. They're not particularly fast torps, but they're not the slowest torps. But the downside is they're only 8 kilometers. 15,621 damage, as you'd expect out of 533 millimeter torps. Pretty mediocre damage, but they do all right. If you hit all 5 of them, you usually kill what you hit, which comes in handy. AA defense. You've got 37 millimeter 54 caliber model 1939s. You get 32 of those. Sorry, try again. 48 of those, doing 350 damage per second, reaching out to 3.5 kilometers. Then you have the 128 millimeter 61 caliber KM40 dual purpose secondaries. You get 16 of those, doing 107 damage per second, reaching out to 5.2 kilometers. And then you have a 20 millimeter 70 caliber Beretta model 1941s. You get 48 of those, doing 86 damage per second, reaching out to 2 kilometers. Maneuverability. This is where the ship is kind of interesting, because the maximum speed with this build is only 37 knots, but that's not terrible for the size of the ship. The rudder shift is actually pretty good as well, 8.6 seconds, but the problem is turning circle. For a cruiser, not the greatest. It kind of suffers from the same issues that you run into with like the Stalingrad, where it starts to turn relatively quick, so it allows you to kind of dodge shells pretty easily, but it never seems to finish the turn, so you seem to get like stuck broadside a lot, so you got to be careful there. So plan your turns accordingly. Concealment, 11.7 kilometers by sea, 7.4 by air, 2 is always guaranteed, and then the 9.2 kilometer smoke firing penalty. All right, stats, probably not very good. So let's see how this was. Yeah, 38%. I have had the worst luck in this thing so far. I've done pretty well in terms of my performances, but I've just had no battleships on my team worth anything. Like, literally every battleship that's been on my team has just been awful, except in this last match. And even then, I don't even know how useful they were in this match. You'll see it in a minute. But average damage of 98,000, pretty solid for a cruiser. And again, the burst damage potential of these things is ridiculous. We'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, 25 millimeters of bow armor. You do have a bit of what most people call an icebreaker. It's just a extended belt, but you do have an extended belt, which does protect the Citadel somewhat. But just keep in mind that anything with 15-inch guns and above does overmatch your front, so you want to try to offer up the side if you can, because look at the armor going down the side of the ship. Use that to the best of your ability. Now, this thing does have spaced armor as well. You can see the gaps between the armor there, so that does offer a little bit of protection, mostly against cruisers, but it can help a little bit, I guess, against battleships as well, at least avoiding Citadel damage anyway. But don't go broadside to battleships if you can avoid it. It doesn't end well, because as you can see, you get rid of that and your Citadel is pretty large. It's skinny, which does help you, especially when getting hit through the front, but overall it's pretty much sticking right up out the water, so if you get caught broadside, it's not going to feel very good. But that side armor is pretty good. I have a much easier time ricocheting and shattering shells with this armor than I did in the previous ship. So offer up the side, kind of lift the skirt a little bit, let people think that they're going to hit you for a lot of damage, and then just angle out and make them cry. Tough, above average base HP rating, we already talked about that. Fast, again, we already talked about that. For her size, she's actually really quick. And again, you could throw Velocious on there, probably get it over 40 knots. So really fast for a cruiser. And then Revolver, it does have the ready rack, which is pretty cool. Castilla. While developing their own heavy cruisers, Spanish engineers actively learned from their Latin peers and the latest achievements of Italian... Why did I say Latin? It's Italian. Their Italian peers and the latest achievements of Italian engineering in the field of ship armor protection and armaments. The knowledge gained could have culminated in a project based on a fusion of Italian and Spanish naval design. Projects of the Ansaldo cruisers and a project for a Super Washington cruiser from the Farrell shipyard. She was designed in 1940, obviously never built. But as you can see, we've got the board camo. I think it looks pretty good on this ship. So with all that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Crash Zone, and we are in the new Spanish Legendary Tier Cruiser, Castilla. And we are going to be in a prime situation for the Castilla. And yeah, so let's get into it. I'm going to show you guys a couple of things that this thing excels at, as well as where it tends to fall on its face. But before we get into that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to smack you guys. Before we get into that, Battleship players, for the love of God, learn to play your ship. Battleship is not hard to play. It just isn't. Alright? You got armor, you got heals, you got health, you got guns. Learn to use them. Anyway, cruiser rant over. You guys know I don't play a lot of cruisers. I do play a lot of cruisers, but I don't play them often because I prefer to play battleships, because it's much easier to carry a match, in my opinion, when you have to be the center of attention if you're in a battleship. Okay? Now, that's not to say cruisers can't carry a match. Okay? They are the highest DPM ships. They have the most utility. They absolutely can carry matches. But if you have to be the primary breadwinner for your team and be up front and up close and personal all the time, it's generally easier to be in a battleship and do that, right? That's where this thing struggles the most. Now, there is plenty of opportunities out there to get some nasty crossfires, and this map is a prime example of this. Watch as we push forward. Our destroyer is about to get into the Bravo cap in the center of the map. Once he gets past that center island, he's going to spot some ships. The first thing he's going to spot is a Colombo. The Colombo is pushing straight into Charlie. All right, I've run into about 30 Colombos tonight, it feels like. And I don't know why. I don't know why everybody's suddenly in a Colombo. But man, it's obnoxious. Because it's pretty tanky and kind of annoying to have to deal with in a Castilla. But yeah, you can see he smokes up immediately. I was contemplating shooting some torpedoes out there, and you can see, of course, Yamato's there to back him up. I'm like, man, what is my odds tonight, man? It's just the worst case. Oh, my, wait. Hold that thought. Hello, sunshine. First shot out, second shot out, and third shot out. And hit the Arthur's button, just for good measures. Boop. Boop. And boop. Ah! No! We got robbed! 50,000 damage salvo right there. Need I say more? The only reason that man survived is because he started moving forward after I clapped his cheeks the first 2 salvos. But yeah, Yama's about to learn the same valuable lesson. He's going broadside to me. Notice I'm not shooting waterline, I'm shooting high. I want to hit superstructure and upper side plating, and watch these shells. I still got Arthas active, so still 20% more damage. And we are just shredding this man. In two reloads, we've managed to get 74,000 damage, which means we just put what? Oh my god, look at that accuracy though out of that Yama. Literally couldn't have asked for a better shot. But then he goes and he's still broadside, so I'm like, well, don't mind if I do. But unfortunately, he's gonna go dark because I don't have any teammates. My teammates are nowhere to be found. That being said, the Shima's about to send that Colombo straight to the Shadow Realm. Yeet! But as you can see, we get another couple of shells into the Yama. And then I'm going to start forcing reloads. Alright, this is going to lead to a problem. Because in my head, right now, I have AP loaded. Okay? This is going to come in very, very important in a little bit. In my mind, I have AP loaded. And you'll see why. So, what I've been trying to do, I try to like force the reload so that I have a full rack ready to go at a moment's notice. And I think this is something that most players are probably going to do. You don't want to be driving around with a single salvo in your guns. You want to get that thing reloading as quickly as possible so you got all the guns ready, or all the shells ready to go as soon as you're ready to go, right? And at this point, I've already committed. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to get up here. The Hindenburg has kind of doubled back and put himself along the island. And you can see I wanted to shoot the Yama. And I wish I had right then and there. Because in that moment, it would have showed me that I had HE loaded. I have a terrible ability to look down to the right and see that HE symbol. You guys know this. If you've ever watched me streaming, I always do this. When I'll shoot HE at a destroyer at the end of the match, and then I'll go into the next match and forget that I have HE loaded, and then be pissed off because I managed to shoot a broadside cruiser or something with HE. But as you can see, as we're closing in, the Hindenburg is just outside our reach. And again, this thing doesn't have the biggest reach in the world, but you don't need the biggest reach in the world. You kind of want to be in that mid-range to, if you are in long-range situations, just kind of use that as a way to get into a better position. But I'm already setting up this Yama for failure. You can see I'm going to test him. I'm going to go ahead and drop some torps off the left side, just in case he pushes, which I thought he was going to. But our guys in the middle of the cap over here kind of get his attention, and he thinks about turning in for a second. And then I'm committed to going around this island to the left, and you can see I still have the HE loaded. This is a disaster. What you're about to witness is literally worst case scenario. But in my mind, I have AP loaded. So when I'm about to YOLO rush this Yama, I know that I can Citadel him. At least I would be able to if I had AP loaded. But that's not going to be the case. He comes around the corner. I'm going to go ahead and drop the things, and then we go ahead and start firing, and you're going to see the fire immediately. I'm like, oh no. Oh God, no. But then he hits me with HE, and it's all good. I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm not the only idiot here. I was very concerned for a minute there. And then the worst thing is, I specifically switched to AP. I swear to God, I hit the button to switch to AP, and I still ended up back on HE somehow. So despite needing the HE, or needing the AP, I end up back on HE, which ends up working in my favor as he gets turned away far enough that I wouldn't have been able to pin there anyway, most likely. So then I realize I have the HE loaded, and I'm like, well, I better shoot up here and shoot the superstructure. We've already got him burning. We know he's going to die. He's still shooting HE for some reason, thank God. Because that's the only reason we survived this in this horrendous engagement. But we're able to get away with the dumbest kill known to mankind. I don't even know how to fathom what just occurred. I'm going to be real with you. All I can say is it was 2 o'clock in the morning. Cut me some slack. I had 4 hours of sleep yesterday. I tried to get the video, and it took a little longer than normal when I got home from the gym. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try to speed up the end of this game because you guys don't want to watch this. But the main... Actually, I might just talk. You guys know me. I like to talk. But the main thing that holds this ship back is that moment where you're having to be the center of attention. If you can avoid that, and specifically if you can avoid that and get a flank, Lord have mercy, the amount of damage potential is ridiculous. I mean, you saw what we were doing to battleships. You saw what we did to that Hindenburg. That Hindenburg's never been touched like that by a cruiser. Probably. Maybe he has. I don't know. But he'll remember it next time. How dare you get spotted and just sit there broadside? Of course, he had no idea I was out there. I hadn't been spotted yet. And that is the key. Having spotting on your team. Now, I'm trying to get back across the map here. My destroyer was calling for support. I've got HE loaded. Because we know the enemy Shima's in the center cap. See, it's contested. The other two people are border humping. They're off to estuary. But our Shima has no idea where the enemy destroyer is, clearly. I mean, he does because he's dropping torps, but I'm calling out right now in chat. I'm like, hey, by the way, the destroyer's right off my bow. Like, we know where he's at, right? It's pretty obvious. And then, of course, in his genius plan, he's like, I'm going to charge forward. This did not end well for him. Because, again, we had HE loaded, we had all the racks to go, and unfortunately, the Yama yeets our kill from us. We should have had the dev strike there, but Yama yeets it. But unfortunately for Yama, he didn't anticipate the Shima's torpedoes, and that is going to be a GG for him. But yeah, other than the situations where you have to take the lead and be the center of attention, other than that, these ships are absolutely fun. I enjoy these things. But the carry potential is a little bit hard, especially if you're going up against lots of, smart players. Because, again, if you're not giving them a broadside, this thing isn't all that scary. Like, if it's sitting there, if you're bow into it and it can't really get your broadside, like, you're going to be able to hammer this thing with a battleship. And even cruisers, the DPM difference from cruisers, I mean, you can do some serious work on this thing before it can reload those guns. Especially if it's having to switch ammo types. But the thing is, like, I enjoy it because it's something different. It's the same thing for, like, the French super cruisers, the Brest and all those. Like, I enjoy those ships because it's a different play style. I like those get out on the edge, get the crossfires, and then catch people with their pants down sort of ships. And that's what these things are. These things are not meant to be the center of attention. They're not meant to be the frontline soldiers. So battleships, for the love of God, stop making me be the frontline soldier. All right? Do your job. It's not that hard to play a battleship. Get in there. Not saying you got to throw all your health away immediately, but at least put yourself somewhere other than Worcester position. If you know, you know. To the folks that I met tonight, I had quite a few fun conversations while we were having interesting times playing tonight. But, yeah, for those folks that we ran into tonight, I hope you guys enjoyed. Because there were some good moments. There were some classic Spartan. I wasn't the only one, though. Other people were having a bad time, too. So, at least we got to have a bad time together. But, yeah, I like these Spanish cruisers. I don't know, maybe they're not for everybody, but they're fun. They're different. And that's enough for me. Now, if they ever get a commander that makes them have, like, more penetration and stuff, look out, because these things are going to be deadly. They're going to be citadeling battleships at range, potentially, which would be ridiculous. I don't know if that's possible. I'm just saying, like, if you get, like, the punch through and all that stuff for these things, it could potentially spiral into devastation. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Have you guys tried the new ships? Like, I know they were in early access last month. Not a lot of people maybe got a hold of them. If you didn't get a hold of them last month, they're in the tech tree right now. You can grind your way up just like any other line. Of course, Castilla is a bureau project. I think it's a free bureau project. You should be able to just start researching it in the thing. I got to finish up the birthday project, so I haven't had premium time for like 3 months. So I'm not spending money on the game. I know I have doubloons, but I use that for the what do you call it? I forget what it's called. the Admiralty backing. God, if that don't tell you how screwed up my brain is right now, nothing does. Because I can't even remember what Admiralty backing is called. But unfortunately, we're going to get over here. We're chasing these guys all the way across the map. And in true Spartan fashion, every single time that I get within range to shoot them, our destroyer lets them disappear. This destroyer player has been the bane of my existence for the last half of this match. Not spotting when I could have had a potential chance to get some more damage. Of course, as soon as I get a chance to shoot, he's going to end up running out of points. Or we're going to run out of points. But... yeah, could have had a better game there. Unfortunately, they all ran away like little turds, and we didn't get to stack more damage. But overall, I enjoy the ship. I've had several 2K plus games tonight, and yeah, let me know if you guys are enjoying these things or not. If you like what I'm doing, punch a like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.